Here we go now. Here we go now. I was thinking this was the way to go, and you put up your puppet show. I say cheers to life. No, I'll be no good man's wife. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. So I woke up, sun in my eyes, forgot all about what I did last night. What I do remember that it was real, real nice. Talks about me are never good. I don't live like the way that I should. Oh well, I'm in for some fun tonight. Just leave me alone. I'm running the show. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. No, you better go home. I'm telling you, it's my time to rise up. Live the life I'm proud of. Hey now, don't be shy. Follow my lead if you wanna be mine. Hey now, it's you and I.
So, hey everybody.
Joys of live streaming.
Welcome back. I am Joshua Verwers. This is Jarrod Brown. You
What's up,
are
guys?
here with the Vlogpasters, and we are live. So, how's everybody doing? Good to see y'all. Glad you're here.
Dude, I think we made our 10 o'clock start time.
I think we got very, very close to the 10 o'clock start time. I mean, we might be just a couple minutes behind, but bleh, that's all right. I'm loving it. We have got, let's see, who all we got here sitting in the chat. By the way,
hello.
If you guys are here and you are live with us, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know that you are here. We got my mom sitting in the chat, says, good morning, guys. I get to watch you while painting this morning. You're painting, you know.
What are you painting?
I don't know what she is painting, but her and my grandmother get my wife into this painting mood, and now my house smells all like paint. So that's the way it is. Micah Foster saying, I love that countdown animation. Micah, thank you very much. I have gotten a ton of compliments on that thing. I don't know. I may just have to make a little pack of those countdown timers for people to have because they're so cool. Mom saying that we have better dance moves than that. We saw that comment while we were all grayed out during the countdown, so we shared
Give it my
some
best,
of them for
Deb.
you.
Give it my best.
Yeah, there she goes. She saw it. That's better. Dennis in the house saying, did you figure out the color problem? I do not believe we figured out the color problem. We're going to see how well this works today. One of these days, we're just going to have to sit here and figure this out, Jarrod.
I think it's to do with my internet connection, if I'm going to go for it. I think Skype is trying to do the best it can to keep me online here, at least keep me in the fight a little bit, because we were noticing that before, while it was starting, I would gray out just whenever I would lose Joshua. So he'd be gone for like 30 seconds, and apparently I was gray for 30 seconds. So something to do with that. Every bit of Wi-Fi in the house is shut off, and my wife's about to realize that because she has a class going on, and that'll be interesting. So if you hear somebody come in and just get me, you'll know what happened.
If that starts to happen, we're going to switch over to just my feed, so we won't have to see the
I'll try and
attack on
silence
you.
it.
No, that's all right. Dallas sitting there saying, morning, guys. Morning, good to see you. And of course, Dennis and Aaron and Alejandro. Aaron saying, hey, from Oregon. Alejandro saying, you're a weapon, bro. Oh, man, I'm loving it. I don't know what a weapon is, but I agree. As long as it's a weapon like the Word of God, living, sharper than a two-edged sword, able to divide even spirit and soul.
All right. Definitely a pastor's podcast up in here.
Definitely. Oh, speaking of pastor's podcast, you know what I forgot to do?
Tell me about it.
I know exactly what I forgot to do. I completely forgot. See, this is what's going to happen.
Hey!
We want this cam. We don't want this cam either. I don't know how I'm going to do this with, I have a whole new intro that I need to get in here. And I don't know.
Get it done.
I
will recommend, I got a little bit of chatting to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I would like to recommend to you guys another podcast and another live stream. Yes, that's true. That's true. I'm gonna draw your attention away from this one because it's that good. So the Bogan Preacher, for anybody who knows who Doug Townsend is, the Bogan Preacher and his friend, his mate, because he's from down under, they have started, if I can get it pulled up here on my phone, they have started a podcast together. And where is it? I can't remember. I think it's called the Socially Distant Podcast. Yep, the Socially Distant Podcast. And they're in like episode 2 or 3. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's just two pastors sitting down like this, hamming it up, having a good time. Similar enough to where if you like this one, you're going to like that one, but very much different. Different cultures, different backgrounds, different viewpoints. It's a lot of fun. So if you get a chance, the Bogan Preacher, I think is his YouTube channel name. His name is Doug Townsend, but look for a Socially Distant Podcast. It's fantastic.
Socially Distant Podcast. All right. We're going to have to look for the Socially Distant Podcast. And while we're doing that, we're going to try this.
Let's do it.
on the fly to see if this will work.
I can't wait to not see it.
You'll see it. You won't be able to hear it.
Oh,
That is my desire. All right, let's see. Videos.
You're mad.
And let's try it.
And
welcome to the Vlogpastors Podcast, a
doing its
podcast
thing?
all about the stories and strategies of sharing
That's
God's
me.
love in the digital world. Now, here are two pastors that love to put a camera in their face and walk around in public. They are the Zach and Screech of digital ministry, Jarrod Brown and Joshua Verwers.
in the background,
I have no idea if that actually played out or not, and what it sounded like. But hey, we're trying some things. We're going out here. Yes. So thankful that you guys are all in the chat. This is a Vlogpastors Podcast, episode number 3, even though I haven't put any up on any actual podcast platforms. YouTube's the one getting it. Facebook's the one getting it. What else we got? We got Periscope, Twitch. Man, we're out there. We're out.
I don't even know what those things are.
The social medias.
Getting it.
So, yeah, a lot of them that we were sitting there and talking about. Just a little shout out, Micah in the chat and Dennis in the chat. Dallas sitting here. Aaron Contreras, Alejandro Reyes, Wayne Norris saying, hey, guys. And then we've got Danielle, the girl, saying hi. So that's what we like to hear. We like to hear that everything worked fine, that everything was rolling. And so, yeah, guys, we have got, this is episode 3. Episode 3 of the Vlogpastors Podcast. That's right. And as you see, rolling, if you guys are watching this live, you're seeing that, hey, we got some little ticker action happen down below. Today Jarrod and I are going to be discussing our top 5 tips when it comes to recording yourselves, because you know what? We are the Vlogpastors. That's what we do. We vlog and we pastor. We pastor and we vlog. We vlog like pastors. We pastor like vloggers.
That's actually true right now.
Isn't it?
In this environment, that's 100% true. Yeah. Dude, you are a weapon. You are a weapon. Come on, man. Look at this. Look at this little ticker. I'm so blown away by what you can do with a computer, man. Look at this thing.
You know, we've just got... I've got to give all of this credit to Ecamm Live. I mean, that's the software that I'm using for this, and I will just have to say that Ecamm is so impressive that they actually got me to jump ship from a Windows PC over to a Mac. Well, not completely jump ship because, well, I still have, my Windows PC setting here running the majority of all of the stuff that is so important. But this is Ecamm. It's just absolutely amazing, which, by the way, if you guys are wanting to do some live stream and you're wanting to step up the quality, you can go ahead. I think I've got a link down in the description where you can get like a 14-day trial of Ecamm. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I've told you I bought a MacBook Pro just to run Ecamm. I've got the Adobe Creative Suite on here, but I don't actually use it. I mean, I use my Windows PC for all of that. So apparently Dennis is saying that the new tagline for the Vlogpastors is actually going to be...
Girls say hi.
No. We vlog like pastors and we pastor like vloggers.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. Some things just kind of roll off the tongue and they seem absolutely
Some of
amazing.
us have the gift of gab.
I have no idea who those people are. Wait, wrong way.
Wrong way.
So, Jarrod, how you been? It's been a week since we have been on here. How are things going? How's life treating you in the state of quarantine down there in Texas?
Oh, man, we are doing fantabulous down here in Texas, enjoying the quarantine, my wife and I. I am a perfect balance, I believe, of introvert and extrovert, and this whole time has been feeding my introvertedness, and so I'm like maxed out. I'm like capped out on introvert. Loving it, could never come out of the cave and be perfectly happy. But then I see people while I'm out and about, like last night. I went out and I filmed a session for a fellow church, and I couldn't leave. They're all like shutting out the lights, like, "Well, brother, we'll see you later." And I'm like, "No, you're the only people I see all week long. Let's sit and chat for a couple 15, 16 hours. We'll be ready to roll." So anyway, enjoying the time. I think if you guys follow my YouTube channel or any of that goings on, I think I broke Jesse with live streams. So we're going to have to figure out a new battle plan moving forward with all that, because we live stream all day pretty much.
You guys did a lot of live streams, and I just have to say that it was enjoyable for me because your live streams seemed to come on at the exact moment that I needed them. So I was appreciating it. I am not a great balance of introvert and extrovert. I am
You're
extrovert.
full throttle extrovert. Wow.
I am so full throttled extrovert that I had to purchase this stand desk just so I could get up out of my seat, because for me to set still is no bueno. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, it was, I mean, I go stir crazy in the house. I will get out just for the sake of getting out. There are times that all I do is I walk outside just to breathe fresh air.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I can't. Yeah. So your streams, they just seem to come on at the perfect time, right exactly when I needed them.
Good to hear it, my friend. Because
Yep.
there's a couple times when we'd do something like we're eating miso soup, and we're like, let's get on and hang out with the folks, and we'll have miso soup, and it'll be like a date night or something. And then you get on and you realize that you have nothing really to say besides you're talking about miso soup and hanging out, and you're like, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good to hear that there was some quality there. Extrovert 1000.
Yes, that's
Genevieve.
my wife saying extrovert 1000. It's true. It is very true.
Hey, Genevieve, I have a bone to pick with you. So there was a Facebook post thing about husbands. How well do you know your husband? How well do you know your wife? Type of deal. And on there, I made the list of Joshua's thing, but I made the list under people he would go to jail, or people he was hanging out with whenever you found him in jail, something to that effect, type of deal, or get in trouble with. Name the person that he would be in trouble with. I was written down as would not cause trouble.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember her exact wording on there, or the exact question.
Too nice.
But yes, it was too nice.
It's accurate, but I want to be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, she said,
Don't look at me, I'm sharp.
My high school buddy Justin was going to be the first one that we were going to get in trouble with, which is 100% accurate that we would. And then she's like, no, wait, it would be Jason Mayfield, which is probably still 100% accurate. It would be getting in trouble for all different reasons, though. But yes, we would likely be getting in trouble for vlogging in places that we shouldn't be and violating social distancing. But yeah, and then she's like, no, not Jarrod. Jarrod is too nice. So
I'm dangerous, Genevieve.
Yeah. Pablo sitting here, can you translate no bueno for us Spanish speakers? Yes, no bueno is no bueno. And then Dallas saying, I just can't make that jump. I think he's referring to Ecamm. But then again, I also do game streams, so Mac really isn't a good call for me. But for just the Bible study streams, no, I completely 100% agree with you. If you are doing really computer intense gaming, the Mac system is not where you want to be at. It is not as powerful. I don't care if Mac people don't like it or not. It's just the case. It is not that powerful of a system, which is why for the longest time when even I was doing these type of streams, I was only using my Windows PC. My Windows PC will still outperform this MacBook Pro, and this thing's a beast. But when it came down to it, the software that I needed for my stream setup for what I'm doing is Ecamm. I needed the ease of use. I needed the functionality. I needed to be able to have like things like a scrolling ticker. I needed to be able to bring you in, on that thing. And hopefully in the next week or two, we're going to get Jason Mayfield to pop in here finally. And to be able to do that thing, could I have done it on my Windows? Absolutely. It would have cost me about 4 times as much as doing it on the Mac. And it wouldn't have been as nice, as functional, as fluid. So it was like
that's it right
kind
there.
of a no-brainer. Yeah.
That's it right there. I built my own PC system here. It's a champ. It cost a little bit of money, but I needed a beast, an editing beast for all the stuff that I was dealing with and the stuff that I was going to deal with, future-proofing a little bit. And you know what? I would trade it tomorrow for a high-functioning Mac. I would. Ease of use and just being able to like plug and play. Because there's some nuances of mine that I know it's a part of the build. I did it, but there's some little glitchy things in my PC that I have to go fix or tailor around or tinker with every stinking time. I'd go Mac.
Yep. I mean, yes. For that type of stuff, yes. I still won't give up my Windows PC when it comes to the amount of editing and stuff that I do, though. Yeah. And I will say that this MacBook, it's a good thing that you guys are hearing me through this Shure SM7B that cancels out and drowns out a lot of noise, so you don't have to hear the jet pilot right down here that is trying to take off, known as the MacBook Pro. These things are loud. The fan on it. Kyle Thompson in the house saying, Joshua is a Mac guy now, the forbidden fruit. I don't know as I would necessarily say that I'm full-fledged Mac guy. However, I do see its value. So I will say, hey, Mac, good job. Good job.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jarrod. So today on the live stream, today on our Vlog Pastors podcast, we are talking about our top 5 tips when it comes to recording yourself. One of the things that we do here on this podcast is we're trying to really share some of the stories and some of the strategies that we have when it comes to sharing God's love in the digital world. And there are a lot of ministers, a lot of ministries out there. And when I say ministers, I'm not just talking the fivefold ministry, the pastor, apostle, prophet, evangelist, and teacher. Those are what Ephesians 4:11, I believe, 4:12, somewhere in there.
In the ballpark.
I'm not talking about just those fivefold ministry gifts. When I'm talking about ministers, I'm talking really about all Christians have been called to the ministry of reconciliation, which means we are called to reconcile the lost and broken world with the living true God. And so when I say ministers, I want to make sure that we clarify that. We're talking to really anybody that has been called by God to preach the gospel. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Priesthood of believers. Let's go.
So that type of thing, our top 5 tips that we want to run down. And so I want to be able to get in there and really dive in. We're going to start listing these. We're going to go 1 through 5 on these and just kind of jump in. But before we get to that, like I've told you guys, when we're streaming here, we're going to try to stream every week right here. Thursdays at about 10 a.m. is what we're aiming for, give or take a little bit of, things that happen. But if you guys catch us in the live stream, you're able to interact with us in the live stream, and we will interact because we love chasing squirrels. And so when I see comments like Pablo's that pop up here, and he says the number 1 tip for recording yourself is to give your homies shout outs.
Pablo. Dude, I have a feeling you might give Jason Mayfield a run for his money. This could be fun.
Pablo is the man. We have been friends for a long time. He is. I'm surprised that Micah, my youngest, is not in here. Her and Micah. That's the Mike and the Ike, and it's just, man, those two are just a riot together. So it's absolutely hilarious. Dallas saying, laugh out loud, you should hear the fan on my HP Studio G5. It's running a Xeon processor and it gets hot and that fan works hard. Absolutely. I would bet. So, okay. Enough rabbit chasing, enough squirrels here. Our number 1 tip when it comes to filming yourself is look at the lens. Look at the lens. It's kind of a tricky thing. This would seem fairly obvious, but a lot of people do not have a DSLR setup or a camera setup like what we've got, so where I'm running the Sony a6600. Jason or Jarrod, what are you running right there? You've got what?
I've got this one's my 6D Mark II.
Okay, so the Canon 6D Mark II. And as you can see, we've got good quality images. We love cameras, we love gear, we love tech like that. But most people, when it comes to their cameras, they've just got one of these things. And what winds up happening is we see our reflection in the mirror and we're like a baby. We're like a baby that saw their reflection, and all of a sudden we're staring at the reflection and we're talking to the reflection instead of talking to the audience. And that's kind of what I would say is the number one tip, is make sure that you're looking at the lens. And even if you've got like a DSLR, here's where it can be a little bit tricky. So I've got this flip up screen on here, and mine flips up to the top. So right now I'm looking at myself in my screen. And as you can see, my eye contact is not quite right with you guys. It's just off a little bit. It's important to make sure that you're looking at the person you're talking with, so that way you can connect to them. Wouldn't you say, Jarrod, that that's kind of a huge thing?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of real estate. It doesn't look like much to go from here to here. But if you're looking right here at yourself as you're making your video, whoops, sorry. I just emergency called somebody. Not really. It's a lot of real estate. It's the same with the DSLR. I'm looking at my little side lens right now. But where I think it gets even more tricky is, say you're live streaming or you're talking with another person and you really, really want to look at that person because they're saying something entertaining, perhaps like this live stream right now. Well, you can't look. Like, the lens is you guys right here. But if I want to see Josh and all of his facial expressions, I have to look up over here. And sometimes I find myself doing that.
You mean like I'm doing right now, and looking at you, looking at me, looking at you, looking at me?
I'm sure this could be a weird, awkward podcast. Let's just talk to one another.
But you know,
you've done some clever things in putting us side by side, so whenever we do look at our screens, we're looking at one another. But
yeah, but at the same time, I mean, like Dallas is saying, OMG, yes, look at the lens. Stop looking at your screen. Chris Shepard in here saying it's a great tip. It makes a huge difference in the personal feel and connection. Ronderick Henry said, yeah, I'm trying to get used to looking at the lens and not the camera's monitor on top. The struggle is real. I do it all the time. And I think part of it is even for me getting used to this Sony, because for the last couple years, I've used a Canon and it flipped out to the side. So I was looking over there, but I got used, and now this thing's right above me. So it's just...
Here's a little tip whenever you guys go into editing to do with looking at the lens. If you give yourself a little bit of time, so you're having your monologue and you're talking, you're telling people it's a recorded session, you're telling people what you want to tell them. If you will give yourself a little bit of time, maybe you have notes, and you want to start right in on your notes, that's really hard to cut into. It gets really choppy. The same with if you're checking frame to make sure that you're fully in the frame and everything looks good. Yeah. And then you start talking about your point as you drag yourself over, that's really hard to edit out. You're going to have to do some weird cuts in there. So give yourself a second. Nothing's rushed unless you're on live. Nothing's rushed. Nothing's going to go out of sorts. Give yourself about 5 seconds, collect your thoughts, and then lay it down.
Right. Yeah. And I think there's this underlying principle of really just kind of thinking about what you're doing, get your thoughts, gather your thoughts. When you're trying to do a live stream like we're doing, it's like, okay, so yes, Jarrod and I are having this conversation, but it's a conversation with you guys, which is why we keep going back and looking at the lens. And it works in this setting when I look over at Jarrod when he's talking, and then when he's looking at me when I'm talking, because you guys are looking at both of us. But if you've noticed these subtle things, when we're addressing and really talking to you guys, or even talking to one another, we're trying to make this contact on the lens. And Pablo sat here and said this is especially important during video calls. And it is. It's very important in video calls. Kyle says it's even harder on a video call with a friend because you want to look at them. And that is very true. This is something that, like, even Jarrod and I, we've done these streams a lot. And we've done a lot of Skypes, a lot of Zoom calls with each other. When it's just him and I, we're not worried about looking at the lens as much.
No.
Although we still do it. Have you noticed that we still do it?
Well, to be fair, I think you've trained me in that, because when we're just zooming together, I'm doing my thing, and I'll watch, because you've taken a lot of Zoom calls, Skype calls in the past, mentoring, counseling folks on this medium. I'm still fairly new to that side of things, and so I'll notice that you're doing it, and I'm like, oh well, I better return the favor. I'm looking at you in the eyeballs. You can see my face rather than my nostrils or whatever's going on here. Hey, but I will add on to that. This isn't something that is a skill that you can't learn. How about that? We'll say it that way. You're going to be able to do it, because my 68-year-old father-in-law comes over to my house right here. Mm-hmm. He hosts a Zoom group. Wait, don't tell anybody. Social distancing. He comes over to my house. He sits in here and he hosts a Zoom group, and he's really tempted to sit up there and look at all of his friends on the Zoom group. But he's able to discipline himself, look into the lens, and those groups are amazing, because he can communicate what he needs. Floating coffee hand. What does that one say? Hold it up. We need like the music. Oh, must have coffee. Yes.
I appear like The Walking Dead without it.
I'm tempted to bring up your sermon on Sunday. I don't know whether you want to go there or not, but it was hilarious.
We might get into that here at the end of the thing. Pablo was sitting here and he says that I look at them. Let's see if I can pull this back up. I look at them when they talk and look at the lens when I talk.
Yeah.
That right there. That's I think the big key on this is thinking about it in conversational tones, because it's one of those that when you're recording yourself online or recording yourself on a camera, you think about, here's a message that for most of us, that God has placed on our heart, and he gave us this message and he wants us to share this message with people. Yeah. And so if we're not looking at the person we're trying to address and trying to talk to and trying to communicate to, then it's like I would just be trying to talk to you guys and doing one of these. And if that's how I was having a conversation with you the whole time, you'd walk away. You'd be like, no, not listening to you. Not gonna, you're not even paying attention to me. Why would I pay attention to you? And here's the thing. I know that that's not our intention. Our intention is not to ignore them, but sometimes that's the way that it can feel when there's not the eye contact being made, which is why we would say that the number one tip for recording yourself on camera is look at the lens. Look at the lens. All right. I got one more comment here on this one, and then we'll run into number 2. Dallas sitting here, and he is saying that I've found that having a two-screen setup helps. I'll have my camera mounted over my notes screen and my live feed on Facebook, YouTube, and on the second screen so that I can only look that way to look at the comments. Yeah. And,
cool, man. Yeah.
And I mean, the thing here, I don't know if I even posted this online. I'll have to do this, post it on my page so you guys can see, because I've kind of been adjusting my studio setup, my little corner in our bedroom. I actually have 3 monitors running right now, 4 if you consider the flip up screen on my camera. So the one on my camera shows me that I'm in frame, which kind of helps me when it comes to positioning here. But then I've got one over here, my Windows PC running so I can see the stream. I can see, the comments that are kind of popping over there. But then I've got Ecamm running on this one. And then I've got Skype and something else running over here. So yeah, crazy setup. What do you got there?
Oops, where we go? Yeah. This way. That's what you guys look like.
Yeah, so there's Jarrod's got that screen right up there, right next to the camera. And that big ol' light. Love the light. Love to be able to see. All of a sudden I talk about light and I'm thinking, wow, I look really washed out. But anyways, number 2. Our number 2 tip, and actually Dallas has given us a number 2 tip that goes
what's number 2?
With our number 1. If you remember, our number 1 tip was to, from Pablo, give your homies shout outs. Dallas is saying that our number 2 tip should be Give your friends tacos.
Oh, yes.
I'm agreeing. Tacos all day, every day.
Yes.
Absolutely agree. 100%. Couldn't.
What day is it? Yeah. Thursday? It's Taco Thursday.
It's taco every day.
If it was Wednesday, it would have been Taco Wednesday. Yeah.
So our number 2 tip is that your frame matters. Framing matters. Jarrod, explain what you mean when it comes to making sure that the frame is there, that we've got stuff in frame. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that were, it's kind of a big concept to go into, but the reason things look good or don't look good are because in slight number 2, second level of importance, because we're not doing this. Let me try to find something. Framing matters. I can't help but frame myself. It's a part of it's a part of like how you discipline yourself to do things. But
here, I can help you with the framing. Try that again with the framing, because now your frame is completely changed.
It grates on my nerves, but you know what I'm talking about. Say you have somebody over here, like that's the top of their head.
Right.
If I was framed up talking to you guys, you can hear me just fine. But it's just awkward. I'm going to have a hard time paying attention to what you're saying because all I'm looking at is this stuff over here. Anyway, if you want to have your video be a seamless part of the communication process, frame yourself. Frame yourself either in the center, frame yourself rule of thirds. There's a grid on your camera for most cameras, maybe not cell phones, that it divides it up into thirds. Put your face on one of the thirds. And that's teaching stuff. It matters. Whenever it's not right, you notice, and all of a sudden your attention is drawn to the video rather than the content that's being communicated. It sounds as basic as that. It is as basic as that.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Now, you touched on the rule of thirds, and yes, it's a teaching thing, but this is an important thing. And I think sometimes we kind of miss this. So just think about like your eyes and the way that they're kind of positioned.
I'll give you the sidebars.
Well, I was even sitting here, and if I had it over on my Windows PC, I could have brought it over. But essentially, when you're thinking about a screen, actually, I might be able to. No, I can't. I was just thinking I might be able to do it. But I'll use this. So I'll use my whole frame here. Imagine that you have cut the screen into equal thirds. So you've got a lower third, you've got an upper third. Now, if you noticed here on this upper third, it is covering my eyes. And that's really kind of an important little teaching thing. Your eyes are naturally drawn to that upper third. So when we're talking about framing matters, you not necessarily have to be precise and on it. And, then you'd have 2/3 over in this side as well. But it doesn't mean that you have to be here. However, if you look at this, us naturally setting here, look at my background, you can kind of sit there and see that I've got stuff, with the exception of the tilt on the angle, that shelf is in that upper third. I have actually got this is almost directly on where that top corner third would be. It would actually be about right here. And that's kind of some intentional stuff because it doesn't become as distracting. But what we're saying is that make sure when you're framing, you're kind of in the shot, you're fairly centered, and you're not up here or all the way down there. And that's kind of the point that we're trying to make with this, to make sure that you are framed up in the shot. Even when Jarrod and I are doing this split screen like we are now, it's like I'm centered in my frame, he's centered in his frame. And even if you go by that rule of thirds, that essentially means on these vertical thirds throughout your whole widescreen, well, Jarrod and I are smack dab on those. And it's one of those things when you frame a shot, you want to make sure that you're considering where do the eyes naturally gravitate to. It doesn't have to be 100% precise. Look at television, look at movies, you'll see things move here and there. But you really should kind of be paying attention to the framing. And with the frame, I'm going to throw in this little added caveat here on this one, Jarrod.
Come on with it.
The caveat is pay attention to your background. Pay attention to what's in the frame. I mean, have you seen have you seen like those America's Funniest Home videos where it's like, you know, the girl is like she's in her bedroom and she's trying to do this little gymnastic routine, and all of a sudden you've got the dog scooting its butt across the carpet behind her. And it's like, just be mindful of what else is in your frame, what is on there. That's one of the things, like Jarrod and I, we both have a lot of things in the background on our shots. I mean, you can sit there and you can look at mine and you see there are a lot of Funko Pops. There's some signage, there's some banners, there's a calendar. I'm very mindful of that, but I've also got my camera setting in such a way to blur it out so it's not distracting and it's not overpowering. And the same way Jarrod's got that as well. You can look back and you can see those things that are out there. And if we were to move and get ourselves out of focus, now all of a sudden... Vanna White do this? It'll sit there. See, look, he's like moving out, and then you can kind of see it starting to focus. But when he's in frame, the focus is on. The focus is on him. It's like with me, if I were to move out of frame, maybe I need to move that out of frame. All of a sudden, you see all of that background there, and it comes in clarity. You know, it's just little things like that it seems so subtle. Not subtle. It seems so subtle, but those are the things that will really take your content, the production of your content, to whole new levels. Making sure that you're in frame, that you're properly framed, and whether that's just dead center, whether it's rule of thirds, and making sure you understand the background.
And this doesn't have to be anything huge. I mean, obviously we're shooting for a certain level of production, but it could be a blanket. It could be your bedroom. It could just, you know, just be cognizant of what is behind you, I think is what we're trying to say. Because if you've got, the other day I shot a video for Jessie for her school. And when we got to looking at the playback, we did it in the living room. Our living room was a wreck. And we didn't pay attention to the blankets and the stuffed animals and the dog's toys that had been accumulated on the couch, because that's where the dog likes to hang out. So in the background, it looks like this destroyed house, and she's trying to send out a professional video. Right. Just little things like that.
Yeah, and I think that's something else to kind of think about. When we're talking about background, we're talking about this frame and how what's in the frame really matters and how you frame things matters. You hit something right there. You talked about there's these blankets, there's the stuff out in the background, and we're trying to give a professional feel. And so that would be the thing. You look at this stuff, I am not trying to give you guys a professional feel at all. If I was trying to give you a professional feel, this background would look completely different. I would probably have bookshelves lined up to make you think that I'm actually a studious person. Well, I'm not, and that's not the message that I want to convey. You can look at this, and it's like, in my background, that stuff should be telling you something about me. It should be telling you that I watch way too much TV and movies. That's what it should be. It should be saying. It should be conveying that type of a feeling, really, that I'm just a regular guy that likes things and has interest outside of being studious. And so I'm not trying to give a professional feel like that, even though I'm bringing a professional
pastor feel.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like the quality that I've got, I'll be the first to admit it. This is a professional quality feel. I mean, I would sit there and say there are a lot of the late night talk shows that are trying to do lives from home that have less of a professional feel than my stream does right now. And I'm doing this a one-man setup essentially here, bringing in you as a guest. But when it comes to the production side of it, it's all happening right here. So the quality is a professional quality, but the feel is kind of this, I'm welcoming you in. It doesn't feel like I've brought you into the principal's office and I'm trying to scold you. If I'm giving you, and I've done these Bible study videos before, where it is trying to be a little bit more professional. And so in those times, yes, I am down there. I'm at the church. I've got the bookshelves in the back. And that's kind of the feel that I was trying to convey on that. I don't know.
It's so funny how, well, I mean, it's important though. It's so funny how little details like that connect with different people. So yeah. I'm going to connect with all of the TV show, movie watching, video production side of who you are. And so all of those little trinkets and things on the back deal. I don't know how many episodes before we got to know one another, a little bit more informally.
Yeah.
I'd sit there and look and see what you were interested in. Like, what are the little bobbleheads? Because they're all blurred out. Which one's that one? I wonder what that one is.
Right.
That type of thing, which connected me to your content even more.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody who came across one of your Bible studies, they were looking for a studious pastor. And when you're shot, I don't really care for your Bible study content on that way.
I
like
don't care for them either.
I like it when you're walking and you're vlogging and you're talking about what the Lord showed you and you're reading through the text. That's my style, though.
Yeah.
But still, you were able to connect with people. Obviously, there's people outside of me. You're able to connect with people that aren't my style by sitting in a studio and showing them the books and the knowledge and the things that you've poured yourself into over the years.
Yeah. Although I tend to be so... I'm trying to figure out what the word is. So hypercritical on some of that stuff that even when I did that down at the church, I was very particular about which books were facing forward so people could read the titles and see who was on there. It was very
You're
intentional.
A sick man. I love you.
It was very intentional because I wanted people, if they focused, to understand where does his theology kind of line up, and I thought I did a pretty good job of that. Wayne Norris hopping in saying that it is like inviting a friend to hang out. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me jump up here. It was Dallas saying that headroom and lead room seem to be some of the biggest struggles that I see with people new to streaming. Either they have a ton of space above them or not enough. And the same for left and right. Absolutely. That's
been fun. So our church, we do each pod. So like the worship team does their bit, and I do my bit, and we have another pastor who does his bit. And whenever they send me the clips, I don't tell them what to do. I mean, I give them informational stuff, but they kind of take it and run with it. I don't go over there and set up the camera and say, no, the light needs to be just like so. Well, when it gets in, it is what it is. And when the worship team sent theirs in, they're in the, I can't remember that one. I think it was the bottom third of that particular service. And I thought, well, good. Lots of room for the words. But,
right.
That's a real struggle. Headroom, lead room.
And we're not even getting into, leading lines and stuff like that and how there are lines. I mean, honestly, okay, I said leading lines, so I'll just give you one. Look at Jarrod. You see the wings on those planes that he's got? Or look at the shelf and where the shelves behind me are pointing to. It's drawing your attention to the eyeballs, as I just looked up at myself instead of looking at the lens. So there we go.
Look. This is a sick road. You don't start here, okay? There's lots of learning. This is years and years of taking a small element of framing or video production and tweaking it just a touch. Going, oh, that's cool. I bet I could change mine up a little bit. So if this is overwhelming, don't worry about it yet.
Correct.
You will get here.
This is not an exhaustive list. This is just our top 5 tips that we're seeing that we do that have really helped our stuff and that we think would help yours. And what I would suggest with this is look at those 5 that we give you. We've given 2. We're going to give 3 more. Look at the 5 and think about it this way. What is the first thing I can work on to improve my video production? Start there. And once you think you've got a pretty good handle on that, you're setting it about, you've got above average. So you're hitting 75% on getting that done. Then start adding in the next one. And so first and foremost, we'll kind of hit some of these things. Actually, I'm thinking it's probably either number 1 or number 5 is where I would start, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
A couple more comments. Danielle is saying vigilant. There we go. Hypervigilant. That's what it is. My mom says hypercritical, and it's exhausting. And Dallas saying, laugh out loud when we do our Facebook Bible studies. I'll have commentaries and extra Bibles on the table next to me. Yeah, it's important. It's those little things that can help out in such a giant way. So
it is fascinating how the little things that maybe you don't think about, you just kind of, you threw up or you sat down one day or something even that you said becomes something that the audience lays hold of.
Yeah.
And they know that little nugget about you, or it's just fascinating.
Yep.
Fascinating how all this works.
Yep, absolutely. Number 3, Jarrod, are we
Yes,
ready?
sir.
Number
Let's do
3 is...
Speak to one person.
Speak to one person. Here's the thing. I think there are a lot of people do not want to record themselves for a few different reasons. One, they're uncomfortable with it. And if you're uncomfortable with it, stop thinking that you're going to be speaking to 1,000 people. Sure, your video might go viral and 1,000 people may see it. You may be aiming for, a small church congregation and say, hey, I'm trying to hit, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. And that may be where your aim is. But even thinking about that, it can cause somebody to pause, because all of a sudden it's like, man, how can I preach to, online, or how can I share this message through video format when I'm looking at one camera instead of, 50 people? You're talking to one person on there. There's kind of a reason that I'll sit here and I'm making sure that I know who's in the chat and I'm seeing your names. Because right now I know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you guys, each one of you guys. And when I started out, it was looking at this and saying, I'm going to speak to that camera. It was actually on a cell phone. I'm going to speak to that camera and I'm going to talk to one person on the other end of that lens. And that all of a sudden, it kind of brought the pressure down where I wasn't trying to speak to 1,000 people. It was one. The other part of this is sometimes when you were trying to preach or speak or, deliver a message to 1,000 people, you put on this professional facade and you try to be more than what you really are. And there becomes a disconnect in your authenticity, in the genuineness, in the relatability, as if, like Wayne had said, it's like inviting a friend to hang out and have a conversation. And so to break down that barrier and the uncomfortable feeling, just look like you're talking to one person. I mean, if Jarrod and I are the only two on here and we're just chatting, I'm just talking to him, it's going to sound the exact same as if there are, 30, 40 people watching at the same time. I have no idea how many at the moment. But that's that right there for the very small percentage, and I think it's important because I'm one of that very small percentage. We need to remember, those of you like me, that there are other people. Yes, you're talking to one person. You want to get comfortable because it can be awkward talking to an inanimate object. You either hype it up too much or you bring it down too low. You have the people who are like, "Hey guys, I don't want to make it peak in the audio too bad any more than I have today." But you're just you're a salesman and you're getting it and you're going after it. There's that level, and then there's, I'm really nervous about. Yeah. Yeah, you have those spectrums, right? Right.
Well, people like myself, we need to remember that there are other people watching on. It's not just one person. Those of us who tend to overshare, and those of us who tend to have, if it's one person, we're going to be emotionally honest with the world. And I thought it was funny who was it, Dallas, who said it's like having one person over, or was that Dennis?
That was Wayne Norris.
It was Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne. When it's like having one person over, well, I need to remember when I have one person over, I show you the insides of my cupboards. I'm going to show you what I had for dinner last night. We're going to crack open the refrigerator and we're going to go for it. But whenever I have 80 people, 100 people, 250 people over, probably it's not the most appropriate thing to go through the cupboards and talk about what we had for dinner. They're here for a reason. They want to hear what, for my instance, they want to hear what the Lord's placed on my heart. Or they want to hear about my story, my background. And I need to communicate that efficiently for them. They don't necessarily care about the tuna that I had last night. And do you want to see also the bathroom? We put a mirror up in there. You want to come inside and take a look?
Right.
So for the very small percentage that's like me, yes, we're speaking to one. We need to overcome the inanimate object, but we also might not share the world because the world might possibly be sitting in your living room, bedroom, closet, YouTube studio, whatever you are.
Yeah. I think
fair.
I think a lot of that is even knowing when we say speak to one person. We can even simplify this by saying know your audience.
Yeah.
I mean, who are you trying to reach? And thinking about that is going to set the tone. For a lot of people trying to record themselves on camera for the first time, there is that level of just being uncomfortable. And it doesn't go away after your first video.
Nope. It's that little blinking red dot of death.
Yes. Yes. That. Oh man. Now you mentioned a red dot and my eyes just went up. No, but it's like, it's true. Those are the things that it's that little moment that keeps coming back for us, over and over and over again. And here I've been, pastoral ministry, 12, 13 years, something like that. I don't know how many sermons I've preached. I honestly have no clue, but I would venture to say it's well over 500. And yet I'm now just getting comfortable if it's still in the same setting.
Yeah.
So it's like if I'm in my church, oh, I'm super comfortable. I go to another church and there's that little bit of something is different, something feels. So you've got people preachers, pastors out there that have been doing this. They have forgotten more in their ministry career than I have even learned. Yeah. And they're just now starting to go on to recording on camera. And there's this uncomfortable feeling. And that's where I'm saying, okay, just speak to one person. Just talk to me. Just talk to, who do you know that is actually going to watch this? I guarantee you know one person. It might be your mom. It might be a family member. It might be a best friend. There's one person you know that will watch this stuff. Speak to that one person. And then all of a sudden you're going to relax. You're going to feel more comfortable. And then anybody else that watches it is going to feel that level of comfortable.
And it's our best shot at it. And I say not ours, but it's people who make videos best shot at making ourselves comfortable, because there is something about this that there's not human connection. There's not an emotional reaction. You can't read body language. It is awkward. No matter what anybody tells you, there's a missing piece of somebody's facial expression coming back at you, and you get immediate feedback. You're not going to get that with a camera. But this is a way of overcoming it. You can, you can picture the person, your audience, who you're talking to, the people who are sitting there consuming it. And you're like, that helps. Yep. It's not perfect, but it helps.
Yep, absolutely. Are we ready to jump into?
Let's do it.
Point number 4. Audio is more important than video. That is our tip for recording yourself. Audio is more important. Now, you can sit here and you can see my camera, or my microphone. Yes, I've got this Shure SM7B. It is top of the line when it comes to, microphones as far as you're going to get. Jarrod's is kind of out of frame right there. He's pulling it up. And which one is that, Jarrod, by the way?
I don't even know. Yeti Nano?
Yeah, okay. So I was thinking it was one of the blue Yetis. Yeah. And it's a great microphone. We have got these really good microphones here. When I'm doing some of my talking head videos, I've got this one coming off the screen, and this is my Rode Video Micro, and it's on a boom pole. And even that, it's like we've got this microphone set up. We're focused on this to a certain degree, but most people, this is all they've got. They're just recording with this, and that is fine. But we've said this in the past when it comes to cell phones. You think about this, your cell phone is meant to be held in your hand. It was not designed to be 30 feet across the room and pick up your audio. This was meant to pick up audio right here, or if you're doing a video chat, a FaceTime, and you're right here. And so really, these microphones on cell phones, arm's length is about all that they're good for on the microphone. And so that's something, if you're just using a cell phone, to remember, just be very aware of, because that's huge. Like Jarrod and I were talking. I mean, seriously, if I were to try to do this, and I'm trying to run this podcast with this, a $400 microphone, but I'm standing back here trying to talk to you guys, you have no idea what's going on. It's like, seriously, get close to the microphone. Stop doing that. You need to be able to hear the audio. And when that happens, you will lose people. You'll lose people on that, because
It's true.
They can't hear you. It's like half the time, and I've ratted my mom out over and over again. I'll continue to rat her out. She's probably not even watching this right now. She even said at the top of it that she was going to be
She doesn't
painting.
do techie stuff.
I mean, well, one, she doesn't. But look, here, her comment. She says, "Good morning, guys. I get to watch you while painting this morning." Mom, you ain't watching nobody while painting.
You're listening.
You're listening while painting. We know your tricks. And so that's the thing. It's like, but that's fine. And really, even like with this is meant to be a podcast. We're doing a video podcast. So it's not just the audio, but it's also the video. We're trying to be mindful of that. Although we've got things like, an upcoming segment, what is it, meme? And that's very much a visual segment and it doesn't translate on audio very well. But audio is so important to be able to bring people. And I even think about this, and yes, this is going to be an over spiritualization, but faith comes by hearing the word, not seeing the word. And it's like, we've got to make sure that we hear things, that we can hear it clearly. Your message needs to be heard. I mean, what does a Romans tell us? How can they believe if they haven't heard? And how can they hear unless somebody preaches? And how can they preach unless they're sent? Oh, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the gospel.
Come on, man.
But it's like they have to hear. And if you've got a message, and we're believing, again, here on this podcast, here on the Vlog Pastors podcast, our goal is to really share our stories and strategies to help you share your message online. And it's that message that God has put on your heart. And we believe if God has put a message on your heart, people need to hear that message. They need to hear the message. So that's where we're talking about video. We're talking about looking in the camera. We're talking about framing the shot, but they need to hear you. Audio is so important.
That's such a good example, man, because no matter whether you have Josh's, you have his $400 SM7B, which I want. I want that microphone so bad I can't even stand it. I've wanted it for like 2 years now. I want that microphone. Oh, I want it. But we can't afford it. Can't always afford it. This is a $100 mic, the one that I'm on right now. That's as much as the wife would let me spring for a microphone at the time. It was before the production company, so I had to use personal finances to get this thing done. And it's good. This one right here, your cell phone, what you have on your cell phone, that works if it's augmented in some way. What I think is cool is that at no matter what price point, Josh's, mine, the cell phone, whatever you have, it doesn't matter unless it's super close. Floating coffee hand. Oh, yet again.
I'm glad I record this stuff. I'm going to get your audio of doing that and then have a little mug like in a GIF flying across the screen on wings.
Like with wings on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it needs to have that. Anyway, all he's saying is there's different price points. Find the microphone that works best for you. You can use a lapel mic. I mean, do whatever you got to do if you're going to be holding this thing any further than an arm's length away. Even that's kind of iffy. But I mean, I'm talking, 6 inches? Yep. Whatever it is from here to the mic, and that's a $100 mic. He's 6 inches away from a $400 mic, and that's, I mean, there's a little negligible what's that word?
Negligible difference. Yep.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Difference in all of this stuff. And the thing is, I record with a GoPro without a microphone on it, and it drives Joshua crazy.
Batty.
Absolutely batty, because the wind noise and all of the compression that goes through it. But he's right when he's talking about his mom. Most people aren't able to visually connect or pay attention. I would imagine over the course of this podcast, Joshua and I are talking, you guys have done probably 30 things if you've hung with us the whole time. You've done 30 other things, and you've been passively listening. Mm-hmm. I doubt you've actively been staring at our faces unless you were just awesome, because you're awesome like that.
Right. Yeah.
As much as I'd love to say it's all about video and I love crafting the visual side of things, it's audio.
Yeah, and this is just talking so far just in the microphone. And before we get too far beyond the microphone, Pablo's sitting here and he's saying that he's been given permission to look into a mic for cell phone video recording. Not a huge necessity, but permission to play with new toys. So he said he would take some recommendations. Pablo, I will ask another question before I can really give you a good, what type of cell phone videos are you looking at? How close is the video? Are you looking for like a wireless solution or a wired? Is it something that you're going to have a little cell phone like rig where it's on a tripod and you're kind of moving? Give me that type of stuff, and I could probably give some recommendations. That is actually perfect. Here is perfect timing. Thank you so much for that. We could not have scripted that any better. Seriously, we couldn't. We're talking about audio is more important, right? And I was just thinking, before we move beyond the microphones, think about some of the background noise. Now, Jarrod and I, we have dogs in our house, and so it happens. His dog running in, barking. That's great. That wasn't Sergeant, was it? It was...
no, that was Flash.
Yeah, Flash. And I've got 2 little dogs. We've got hardwood all the way around through this house, so you get the little nails, the tippy-tappy that's always happening all over there. So I've got to kind of block them out. And I've put up sound blankets in here, or moving blankets, to kind of absorb some of the sound in here. And just a minute ago, there was a helicopter flying over. I don't know if it picked up or not. And so there's always these background things. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like, if you're going to be out in public, granted, the quarantine has to be lifted, but if you're out in public and you're on a busy highway and there are lights and sirens going all over the place, wait until it passes before you start to record. If you're around in the home and there are things happening, again, think about the message you're trying to convey. You watch like Jimmy Fallon on there, doing the late night, and his kids are just being uber rambunctious and just, interrupting and stuff. But it is fun, and it's that little feel, and it's lighthearted, and it works. However, if he was trying to be very polished and that were happening, it wouldn't work. Jarrod and I are sitting here, and we're in like our little home studios. And so
I'm in my pajamas right now.
You're in your pajamas. Why did I get dressed then?
I don't know. I took a page out of yours, Jason Mayfield. I think Trey Van Camp does it as well. I'm now on the black shirt party. I've got 5 black shirts that I just rotate through the cycle, and I'm in pajama pants down low. That's it, man.
You do that. You can roll the black party. I am actually getting out of the black party.
I'm in it. I'm jumping full on in.
I'm getting out of it. I'm going to go with all these I think this is a Henley tee or something. I don't know. I'm going all this style just because I like the way it sits on my girly shoulders all the time. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, microphones. Okay, let's get back here to microphones.
Hey, do the cell phone. So it just depends, like he was saying, on how you plan on using this. So there is a lapel mic if you're going to be doing like a studio sit down version of it. You have a lapel mic. It's a cord. It costs like $10-15, not a big issue. If you're going to be running and gunning, you're walking out in the masses, in the fields, wherever you are. There's a video. Is it Mic Me? Mike? What's the one that just attaches?
Yeah, the Video Mic Me.
Video Mic Me. I have the Video Mic Me. That thing is a little boom.
Yeah.
Shotgun mic. Not boom. A little shotgun mic.
Yeah, it's a little shotgun mic.
It'll hit you. I mean, you can hold it arm's length, and it's crystal clear. One of the best mics I've ever owned. It's a Rode Video Mic Me.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic mic.
And I've got a cheap, I don't know, somewhere around here. I've got a like an Android version. It's not an Android version, but one that works on I say Android because Apple decided to get rid of the headphone jack on most of their new stuff. Although now I think Androids are going to start doing that, but it just plugs in, the little, 3.5 millimeter plug. And I got that thing, I think $20 at like Best Buy. Those would work. Pablo had sat here and said, what was it? We have some examples on our church Facebook page. Audio is pretty good on a tripod about 3 feet away from the subject. And so, yes, if you're about 3 feet away, some type of like a shotgun style mic, like what Jarrod's talking about. I've got this one. It's for my DSLR. This is the Rode Video Micro, and it works. I'm usually holding it about 3 feet away. It's on the camera, and it does a good job. That doesn't have a direct like cell phone plug, and that's the one key. is focus on, you're going to look for a TRRS for most of those. And even if it's like with an Apple, you're going to have to find like a lightning port to a TRRS adapter. So just make sure it's the TRRS is what you're looking for. I've probably got an example here to show you. Here's the difference of the TRRS.
This is important. Hey, if you're not paying attention, pay attention now. If you don't have your video turned on, what he is showing you is, if it'll focus, put your hand behind it.
Focus. So that right there, you're looking for one that is called TRRS. It's a tip ring sleeve. And so look at the gold pieces there. The top one is your tip, the middle two are your rings, and then the very bottom one here is the sleeve. So tip, ring, sleeve. That's what you're looking at. And basically what that is it's giving you both your mic and your headphone on it. And that's what a cell phone needs. And it's the cabling, it's the wiring, it's to be able to do that. If you do just your normal, your normal audio jacks are only going to have one of those or two of those little lines instead of the three. So you're just going to have a tip ring sleeve. You do that, you're getting nothing. You'll get absolutely nothing. So it's like this one here. Oh man, I probably can do this. So
this is fun for me to watch him do this.
There's
You're almost there. Keep leaning over. There you go.
There's your difference. This one, tip ring sleeve. This one, tip ring sleeve.
I think it's focused in on your nails. It's the difference of 2 black lines versus 3 black lines.
Yeah.
2 black lines, TRS, 3 black lines, TRRS. I always get those confused.
Yeah, subtle little thing, but it's a little visual thing that you can find when you're looking for a microphone. Now, that being said, Pablo, anybody else that's looking from there, what I would be recommending, if you're going straight into a phone, actually, here's what I would probably recommend is, I think it's on... Man, I'm wondering if I can find this real quick. Now, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to tell you about it. It's on Amazon. However, just keep in mind that essential products are not being transported at the moment. So it's probably not going to be the best one. But actually, over on my Amazon shop, you can find it amazon.com shop/Joshua Verwers. On there, I actually have one. This is called Pop Voice. And this is the one I would actually recommend for everybody starting out. It's like an $18 lavalier lapel mic, and it has a 16-foot cable on it. And this, it not only has a 16-foot cable, you have both your TRS for a camera, a digital camera, digital SLR, that type of a camera, and it also has the TRRS for the smartphone. So that's what I would suggest. Diana,
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. I thought you were going to say the little clip-on. Have you guys seen them on Facebook? They've been promoted quite a bit. They're little audio lapel mic type things, but they're wireless. And I just had a friend pick one of those up, and he said they were absolute garbage because since they're omnidirectional, they're picking up everything in the world, and your voice is just one of those many things that it's trying to pick up. So they're cheaper. They're probably $100. I say cheaper. They're $100 and something for a plug and play clip option. I wish I had the name of them, so I'd say don't get them, don't pick them up. But about $100 or below, and they're just a lapel clip-on wireless option that you plug into the bottom of your phone. That is a no-go right now, at least from my recommendation. I have a Pico. You're gonna hit several $100s.
Yeah,
you're gonna jump up a whole notch, and they're amazing. I have a Pico mic you can plug into the bottom of your phone.
Correct.
And that's just a lapel clip. So if you have guests coming on your show, you just clip them on.
Yep.
And roll.
Yeah, and that's where this one is great. You can find another one. I think maybe an extra $10 or so. You can find that. This is Pop Voice, is what it's called. And the reason I will recommend this. The Developing Great Relationships, the marriage ministry that I used to work for, we did this podcast. You can actually find that. Just look up, do a YouTube search for DGR Pella or Developing Great Relationships podcast, and you'll find this. And it's conversations Dr. Mark Majors and I that are having, and we're wearing those Pop Voice microphone, the lapel mics, and they're just plugged into a Rode Wireless Go. And so that was the setup that Diana Gladney had used, and they sound good. And so that's what I would recommend. For the price, that's going to be so much better than just this. Having a 16-foot cable, I mean, come on, you could sit there and, if you're recording at church and you're trying to get, pastor in his office, but it's like he's got this great bookshelf and we really want to get that and we want a wide angle shot, set that thing 10 foot away, get the whole thing in frame, and you can run that cable down underneath the table and up and clip it on his shirt, and it's going to sound great. They are omnidirectional, and so they will pick up everything. But again, this is kind of where making sure that if you're inside and you're in a controlled environment and you don't have dogs running in barking all the time, you should be good. So,
but it's true.
All right. A couple other comments here that we have here. Let's see. Jesse Tricola, Pastor Jesse out there in Oregon, I think. What's up? What's up with you?
Welcome, man.
Good to see you. Juan Carlos Vasquez. How about when you are preaching from home? What is a good mic recommendation if you don't have a mixer? So honestly, if you're at home, and I know Juan, and I know he's got Sony A6600, or 6400. So he's got the Sony A6400. Honestly, this is what I recommend. I recommend this thing.
It's wonderful.
Rode Video Micro and this is a cheap $20 podcast boom arm that this thing is setting on. Do that. Seriously.
And then just drape it about 6 inches out of frame. Just put it like right here.
Yeah, because it is, now that I get that cable back out of the way, I'm sitting here and this is that far away. It's just out of frame. You just barely, here, I'll go to my wide shot and you can kind of see. It's right there. So it's just out of frame. And honestly, they sound really good. The closer you can get any microphone to your mouth, the better. So at home, that's the thing I would suggest, especially for you, Juan, because I know your stuff. I know what you're doing. And I would say this is going to help you at home. This is going to help you in vlogging. This is going to be that thing that even if you're, at church and you turn the camera around and you're pointing it at somebody else to get something, it's going to work. It's going to be a great one. So he's saying, you just answered my question. Good to hear. And Pablo is saying, one, it's a good thing that he understands most of that stuff. He does run the sound and everything at their church, so I'm glad he understood that. And another thing is turn off the furnace. Yeah, turning off the furnace can really help there. And
someone described to me what a furnace is. Is that the sun?
For those that live outside of Texas, we understand what a furnace is. I'm going to invite you up here in winter months, boy. And speaking of which, we were just talking about the Diana Gladney from Entree Woman TV, Vlog Pastors AM edition. Diana in the house. Diana, I was just giving you a shout out because of that Pop Voice microphone that you used on it. It is amazing stuff. So, okay. That was number 4, right? Numero quattro.
I think that was quattro.
Number 5. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Just keep practicing. Keep pressing record. Keep making more videos. Because your first one will be your worst one.
I'm gonna challenge that. I made my first video is bad, horrific even. Don't look at it. Your eyeballs will melt out of your face, Indiana Jones style bad. But I have made worse. It's just a part of the process, though. That's the fun of it.
Are you sure you have made worse?
I am certain of it.
See, here's the thing. My first vlog was my worst vlog. My first talking head video was my worst talking head video. My first live stream was my worst live stream. But I would venture to say that my talking head was worse than my vlog, and it came after my vlog, but it was a different format. And that's where I would sit there and say, each one that you do, because you do a different style, it's going to get different. But each one, your first one, will be, in my opinion, the worst one. And that's where it's like, you just got to keep going. Yeah, Diana's sitting here and saying, the first is the worst. The first 50 are still questionable. Laugh out loud.
So true.
Hey,
that's the deal, though, because like you just learn. The point being, you learn as you go. So my first one to me is not my worst one. I've made worse ones than that, but I now know enough to be able to make that evaluation. Sorry for the dog. Make that evaluation. It's just like as you go, I realized that it wasn't quite about production quality. It wasn't about whether I had all of these angles and shots and audio and even the things that we're talking about here on this. It's about the content, it's about the message. But I didn't know that until I practiced about 50 times and messed up about 500 times inside of each episode.
Yep.
You learn and you grow.
Yep.
Rinse, repeat.
Yep. Lather,
like you were
rinse,
saying,
repeat.
once you get 70% on something, well, I don't know, pick your number, 90%, 100%, whatever. Go on to the next.
Yeah.
You're going to learn something new. It's a never-ending deal.
And so we've sat here and we've listed these 5. I mean, we started off with the first one is making sure that you are looking at the lens. The next one was to make sure that your frame matters. Number 3, speak to one person. Number 4, audio is more important. And then our last one is making sure that you understand you need to keep putting them out. If you don't practice, you won't get better. It's just not going to happen. You've got to keep doing it. You've got to keep changing things up. You've got to keep trying to improve. And that's kind of the point we're making with this one. So when you're recording yourself, get it. Just press record, then press publish. Get that thing recorded, get it uploaded, however you got to do it. If you're just going live, press go live and just go. And then do it again and again and again and again. And like Diana said, 50 of them is still going to be questionable. I don't know how many videos I've made. I honestly don't. I've lost track. I mean, I can look in my like YouTube studio and I can find out how many I've made for that, but that's not considering how many I've made on the other platforms and how many I've made for other businesses, organizations, ministries, all of that stuff. And the thing is every time I make one, I'm trying to just improve one little thing, just get a little bit better in that. And that would be my big recommendation for you guys is just, just keep trying to just get a little bit better, just up it a little bit better, try to improve, find one thing that you can improve on every single time. Lather, rinse, repeat. Keep doing it over and over again. Keep practicing.
That's funny. It kind of sounds like Matty Hapoya has a saying. He says, learn, make, repeat. Not sure if you've ever seen any of his content, but it's right on.
Yes. The learn, make, repeat. Yeah.
Learn, make, repeat. Learn, make, repeat.
Yeah. And I would actually, is it learn, make, repeat or make, learn, repeat?
It's learn, make, repeat, I believe.
Okay. Well, he should change it. It should be make, learn, repeat. Because here's one of those things that when you and I had been talking about this, we were talking about different things that different topics, different tips. And one of the tips that you had, maybe this is a bonus one, is to find somebody to give you some constructive criticism and some feedback on it. And that's where I would say maybe it should be make, learn, repeat. So make the video, learn from the video, then repeat the process all over again. But I also understand learn, what to do, then make it according to what you've learned and then repeat it. And especially in ministry, context, learn something, make something with what you've learned, and then do the process all over again.
Yeah.
So
it's a continual curve, man. I'm just learning. I made at least 5 videos last week, and each one of them had something new in it. Like last week, I'm trying to track text, 3D track text now, which is a small thing,
It looked
in After
so
Effects.
cool. I saw that. It was so cool because I tried to do that like 3 weeks prior, and I was kicking myself. I spent 4 hours to do that, and I couldn't get it to work, and finally I just threw it out the window.
Well, that was not my best iteration of that particular project, but it was like,
good.
Made it, done, going to ship it off, and I will learn from the mistakes that I made, and we'll do it better next week.
It looked good.
Learn,
I
repeat.
abandoned text tracking like that. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Give me a couple months, and then I'll pick it back up again for an hour and then get frustrated at it again.
Yeah, it's a lot of watching tutorials at 2 times speed till you get to the part that you're like, okay, here's where I am.
Right.
Again, learning.
Yep.
And then you make it, and it's horrific. And then you put it out there, and you learn from it again. And you repeat the process.
Pablo is saying it's over 9,000. I think that's the amount of videos that I've made. I don't know. That may not be horribly inaccurate, especially if we talk about the times. Do we count each multi-stream as a separate video?
Oh, man, I don't know.
I don't think we can do that, because if we did, there would be a whole lot of them.
You know what's weird about this is probably a bit of a tangent, but I don't technically classify these live streams as a video, do you? Because there's no editing that was done. You do? To me, it's just like, this is a conversation amongst friends where we have a topic, we're kind of going in a direction, but there was no well, never mind, I'm sorry. On your end, that's why it doesn't feel like a video to me. I got you. Never mind. Light bulb.
When you're doing your live streams, do you think that's a video?
My wife would say that's a lot of work.
See, that's what I'm talking about, and that's where I would say yes. I do think that it is good. So, oh wait, never mind. Pablo says it's not about that. It was an anime internet reference, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out on that one.
And Diana says nope, they both count. So does that mean the multi-streams count? So I get credit each simulcast and each stream. Laugh out loud. That's what she's saying, which means that currently I am producing 5 simultaneous videos. I might be at 9,000 right now. So
of course you would, Diana. You're doing the same thing, dude. You are getting after it. Is there going to be a Canon R5 video coming?
Actually, I think if I remember right, Diana did a live stream the other day talking about that, which, Diana, make sure that you reach out to me and let me know if Canon actually removed their head from a place and got rid of the record limit.
Come on back.
Until Canon removes their stupid record limit, I will not go back to Canon.
Come on back.
Ever. I think it's ridiculous that I would have to buy an external recorder just to bypass a record limit.
Agreed.
Anywho, so Jarrod, you know what time it is? We just gave our top 5 tips, recapping on the top 5 tips again. We have got number 1 is... What was number 1? I even forgot. Number 1, look at the lens.
Look at the lens, yeah.
Number 2, frame matters. Number 3, speak to one person. Number 4, audio is more important. And number 5, lather, rinse, and repeat. Repeat the process. Keep going about it. There are your top 5 tips to record yourself on camera.
Here's what I want to know, Josh.
Bring it.
What does it really mean?
What does it really mean? Oh, you want to go straight to.
I do.
What does it all mean?
I'm so excited.
Jarrod wants to go to our new segment. What does it mean? All right. You wanted to go there. I was going to go over to This Week in the Babylon Bee, but hey, if you want to go to What Does It Mean, we will go to What Does It Mean. So here we go. You can see what's going on, right, Jarrod?
Here we go. I'm ready.
Have I got you? You can see. You see our little What Does It Mean in the meme font.
I do.
All right. Our first one. Parent says we should pray before our meal. Me. Okay. Parent, you pray. Me. Hold on. This whole operation was your idea.
Well played. Well played.
Yes. For those that don't know, this segment, What Does It Mean? These are memes that have been compiled by my son. And that one, that's a good one. I like that. All right. So that's our first meme. Our second meme. How you look trying to hide sin from God.
Oh man, would it be weird to say I resemble that remark in many ways? I don't know.
Oh man, that is so good. It's
true.
Oh, this is hilarious.
For
those that are listening to this and you can't see it, this is
it's basically me standing behind a pole in a bright neon. Is it yellow or green?
It's neon, whatever.
Standing behind a slender pole, and he is overlapping on either side.
Oh, that is
Beautiful.
hilarious. Oh, that's awesome. George Logan actually hopping in, and he's saying, I love the first one. George Holloway in here saying that is too good. And Diana saying the second one, the accuracy of that. Yes.
Right.
Yes, the accuracy is spot on. All right, meme number 3. So God and Jesus are different people? Well, yes, but actually no.
Yeah.
Oh man, trying to discuss the Trinity. Woo.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Oh, yeah. I like it. All right, number 4 on memes for today. When someone at church gives you a word that doesn't make sense. Oh, it's Jack Black from Nacho Libre with that half weird smile. Oh, my face is turning so red, the red of a YouTube icon. Whew. Oh man. And the greatest part about that is, I mean, hey, I'm coming from a charismatic, Pentecostal leaning type church, and I've had these people in our church where it was like, all of a sudden somebody comes up to me afterwards, not the person that gave the word, but somebody else in our congregation comes up and be like, so Jimbo Billy Bob over there just tried to prophesy over me and give me a word, and yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. What should I do? And I was like, ignore it and don't pay attention to it. And I mean, I'm talking about stuff that it's like, no, that's just, it's no, stop it. Not to mention the amount of times that those words have come out that are in direct contradiction to the sermon that was just preached. It's like, yeah, I don't think it happens that way, but thanks.
The stories we could tell.
Oh man, so good. All right, and our final meme in our lovely series called What Does It Meme? When parents tell me their kid's an angel, whispering, so is Lucifer. Oh, that is so good. All right, guys, there it was. That was our segment, our recurring segment. What does it meme?
Well done.
Oh, I absolutely love that. All right, well, that means it is also time for my favorite segment in here. Let's see if I can actually find it.
We're going to get a little accurate news up in here. I'm down with that.
This one is called This Week in the Babylon Bee. For those that do not know what This Week in the Babylon Bee is, the Babylon Bee is a satire news website. And if you don't know what satire is, ask Siri. George told me, or is saying, God told me that you should take whatever the pastor says and do the opposite.
For real.
And as far as what does it mean, Logan is saying that next week will be better. Oh, this is going to be fun. I can't wait to see what next week is. All right, we're on This Week in the Babylon Bee. Before I do that, I actually have to pull up one thing. I realized that I was not ready and prepared. I actually have to get the actual news articles on this. So I'm glad we went to What Does It Meme first to be able to do this. This Week in the Babylon Bee. All right. This week in the Babylon Bee. In church news, church members worshiping at home could get used to this mute feature. Church goers, or rather church not goers, are beginning to worship at home throughout the nation. One feature they all say they, quote, really could get used to is the ability to mute any part of the worship experience they don't like. Sermons are not immune to worshipers' new muting ability. 92% of Christians surveyed about their live streaming habits admitted to muting the pastor when he started talking about sin or hell, while 97% that they have just turned off the pastor when he goes over 30 minutes.
Too far. Too far.
You think that was too far?
That's too far. Every now and again, you got to love the Babylon Bee. Too far.
I don't think they went too far. I think they are widely accurate on that. You know why? Because you cannot see your church members because you're staring at a screen just like they are not. So, there.
Too close to home on that one. I'm going to...
Diana is saying that, laugh out loud, that's called the glazed over look in church. Very, very true. All right. Also, in heavenly news, the streets of heaven are now going to be paved with toilet paper. An angelic representative said, quote, frankly, it's worth more. Though I don't know why you guys are all stockpiling it on Earth. What's wrong with you people? Several musical groups have now revised their songs about heaven, with the American rock group Creed changing one of their popular songs to the lyrics,
no, don't do it.
Can you take me higher to a place with Charmin streets?
Okay. Okay.
Oh, come on. Come on. That is amazing. You know you love it, Jarrod. You know you love the Babylon Bee.
I want to. I really do.
George is saying that the stats on the last one are probably high for when the pastor brings up online giving. Oh, yes, a pastor would make that comment. Thank you, George. All right. Also, in political news, historians now believe that the American Revolution never would have occurred if colonists had Netflix. Historians have introduced an interesting new theory that the American Revolution would have never occurred if they had access to Netflix. The theory holds that the American colonists, if they had had unlimited access to millions of streaming shows and movies, they would have just kind of accepted the British government's tyranny.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well,
I mean,
I see all of these. They're just so straight down the pipe. Yeah.
I mean, what was that founder's quote? Those who give up essential freedoms for security will have neither freedom nor security. Yeah. All right. Diana is saying that we need the womp womp sound effects like the cartoon on the last two. We do not need that. You know what we need? We need this sound effect on all of those. That's right. Applause. Applause is what we need for those. Or maybe it's just the DJ air horn. That's the one. There we go.
Do you have another? Because I have a bonus.
We have one more.
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
This week in lifestyle news, essential oil plummets to 2.7 million a barrel. Lamented Karen Wendy Damien, a local essential oils sales rep, said maybe they weren't so essential after all. Hopefully prices will rebound soon, or the most essential market of all will come crashing down. Many women are even calling for the federal government to intervene and bail out the essential oil industry, but the feds have said that getting involved in an essential oils pyramid scheme would be morally questionable, even for them.
All right, I'm back in. I'm back in on Babylon Bee. That was good.
That one. Oh, George is dying on that. George is dying on that. Diana, apparently, womp womps. She's loving that. So, oh, man. That one
gets an applause.
That one does gets the applause.
Give it the applause.
I love that one. So,
that one was good.
That's what I've got for this week in the Babylon Bee. So, there you have it.
That's so good.
I love it. That is our little weekly show of this week in the Babylon Bee. I love that thing. I love what we're doing here on the Vlog Pastors podcast. It is so much fun. I'm enjoying this.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I
hope you
don't,
guys are having a good time.
I'm hoping they're having fun. If they're not having fun, well, I guess we are, so that's okay. But it's just like, this is fun. If you guys have got anything that you want to see the Vlogpastors talking about, any little segments you've got on here that you would love to see, let us know. Reach out to us. You can find us, down here on our social links. Jarrod over on at A Bite of Brownie Productions on Instagram. You can catch me at Joshua Verwers on Instagram. We are there. So yeah, it's good stuff. Genevieve's saying that she likes this new format because it keeps the kids quiet, even though it has us laughing hysterically. And Diana is saying that she loves the new format as well. So yeah, again, if you guys have got questions, comments, topics, whatever, reach out to us, catch us on social media. We're out there. We're having fun. Jarrod, is there anything else that we want to discuss and talk about this week? I mean, we hit our top fives. We hit This Week in the Babylon Bee. We did What Does It Meme? Anything else? Do we talk about?
I think we hit all the high points. The only thing that I had come was, and I don't know if it's going to come across on video, but can you guys see that? Let me get my face out of the equation here.
No.
You see this guy? Have you seen this on Facebook?
I have not
Kevin
seen
Carter.
it. No.
Oh my goodness! If you have some time, look at that, Kevin Carter. Google him, not Google him. Facebook search him. There's a video that he makes.
Communion at Home.
Communion at Home. It is absolutely hilarious. It's Babylon Bee wrapped up in video format.
I might have seen that.
Oh, I'm just saying, Palm Sunday and then the taking of the body. It's right there on the edge of like, I probably shouldn't be watching. Oh my goodness, it's good stuff. It's funny.
I'm
sent to me by another pastor friend where I said I saw him in person. I'm like, dude, that was on the knife's edge, but it was good.
Yeah, I might have seen that one. I can't
it's hilarious.
Remember. I can't remember. Hey, one more thing, and this is just going to be a bonus that I just feel like throwing out there just because I can, and well,
do it.
I'm the one running it. It's
your
my
show.
stream.
It's
I'm going to do what I
show.
want to do. What are some things you've learned from doing your vlog style sermons? I'm putting you on the spot. Vlog style sermons, because we're among the vast minority that are doing this. I mean, granted, we are vlog pastors, which means we vlog like pastors and pastor like vlogs. Or vloggers. That's how it was. But so we're doing these sermons in a vlog style, walking around, kind of holding the camera. You've got the drone footage going, which, hey, Genevieve, I really want a drone. DJI is announcing a new one here in just a few days.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I'm guessing it's the Mavic Air 2, which will have 4K resolution, active track 3.0. It'll be amazing.
All you need.
That's what
All
I
you
want.
need.
Or the Mavic Mini, and then I can just say I don't care what the FAA says because I'm under the guidelines.
Oh no, they're cracking down.
Yeah, they're going to crack down even on that thing. No, so what are you learning? What's something that you're seeing with regards to this?
Yeah, it's interesting because the rules are a little bit different, and maybe you'll disagree with this, but it's a little bit different than a vlog. I've noticed in a vlog built for YouTube, if I'm going to say something, it needs to be boiled down to the absolute nugget, and I need to get it out first, and I need to hit with it, and we need, then you can kind of, if people want to stick around, they can hang out with you. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at like 4 to 12 minutes maximum kind of a thing, and a 12-minute would be long for me. But with the sermons, I've noticed you can take your time, and it's almost like, since there is a coming on and coming off, there's a pausing, there's an activity of life going on around. I'm getting a lot more feedback from my direct audience, and I can tell that it takes a while, and they want it to be crafted, and they want it to be slower, and they want it, since it is a sermon, they want a lot of meat around it, rather than, jumpy transitions and we're flying and we're zooming. Well, that's all fun. They want to keep that, but they need a lot more intentionality of what does the word say? Where's it coming from? How do I grow in this aspect? What's the Lord said this? Great, because that's usually my nugget. What's the Lord saying to my church's Grace Fellowship Church?
Right.
To Grace Fellowship Church, right here, right now. Yes and amen. what's around it? What's the support? How does that apply to my life? And they want me to take some more time and develop that. And that's been eye-opening because I'm used to the YouTube world. You hop in there, you deliver the content as quickly as possible while you still get it. You don't want to ramble on. There's a little bit slower marination process apparently with the church audience. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, so I'm not disagreeing with that. I might push back slightly because I think it depends obviously on the audience too. Are the people that we're reaching with this? Yes, there are church members, but we're also starting to reach people that aren't just our church members too. And
Right.
That's where it's like the ones in our church are looking for something that they're used to, not this that's different. And so that's where I would agree. They're wanting what I have on Sunday mornings when we're at our building. The problem, we're not at our building. And that's what I'm trying to convey to them, is that this is different. And because it's different, we're just going to kind of lean into it. However, I will say that what I'm doing is, because I had this conversation with more than one person in our church, that they mentioned the sermons on Sunday are too short, because I'm going, 16, 18 minutes is kind of where I'm hitting. And they're like, that's just too short. I'm like, well, that's the same 30, 35 minute message that I would preach
Just
at
chopping
church.
it.
The only thing I'm doing is I'm just cutting out the pauses, the ums, the ahs, the, hey, turn in your Bible and let's wait 30 seconds. And hey, if you're there, give me an amen. Okay, we'll wait for those that didn't say amen and give them a little bit more time. Those are the things that, or just letting it set, it's like you deliver that fire point that all of a sudden it's like people are just blown away by. And if you're like me, you're preaching and all of a sudden you pause. It's like, let's let this hit. Oh, you think it hit, but there's like an aftershock that's coming. So we're going to wait, and then all of a sudden they really feel it. But when it comes to an online thing, I'm cutting that out. And that, in essence, is showing me that about half of my sermons on a normal Sunday morning aren't essential in an online capacity.
Funny way of putting that. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been doing, and realizing, especially when it comes to online, actually, and here, Diana pulls this up just as I was getting to say this, and I love it. She says that, let's see if the comment, attention spans are different online too. Those that want a quick work versus those that want a Bible study content on a Sunday. Yes. Here's the thing that I found, and I'm going to see if I can find this. I'll post it on social media later. It was a survey that was out there, and I think it said that the attention span or memory of a goldfish is 8 seconds, but the attention span of human beings is now 7 seconds.
I've seen that. That's true.
We've got less attention span, and I know this is happening. I know this is happening with the sermons that we're preaching, because I'm a guy that I love to look at the analytics. And I can, you didn't realize that I can see how long people have actually been watching the sermon? Well, guess what? I can. And they're not watching it. It's like the average view time is just astronomically low. I mean, I'm not getting a 50% retention on these videos. It doesn't matter what platform I'm on, which tells me that most people that are watching it, and some of this, because I've even checked it, it's like within the first couple hours of it being posted, what is it? And I know in the first couple hours, those are my church people that aren't even watching the sermon. Oh, you think I didn't know? I know your tricks. So with that, it's like, they're not watching and they're not paying attention. And I'm even putting out this punchy, quick pace on it, and it's still not catching. Man, I feel sorry for some of the churches that aren't doing that are still doing the traditional format of I'm standing up behind the pulpit and I'm preaching to an empty church like it would be a full church, and I'm waiting for the pauses and I'm waiting for the interaction, and all of a sudden it's like you lost them. I mean, when you started your message and you said, okay, well, today's text is the book of John chapter 6, so go ahead and turn in your Bibles. And then you waited 30 seconds. They tuned into Netflix. They're watching Tiger King right now. They ain't watching your sermon anymore. It's like Babylon Bee was right. They hit the mute button. They hit the mute button, they popped in their headphones, and now they're listening to Spotify. These are the things that are happening. We just have to be aware of it. So for me, it's like one of the things that I'm seeing is really trying to take all of that meat. So this is where I said, I'm not leaving anything that is essential out of my vlog style sermons. All of my notes, when I'm prepping and I'm getting ready for my notes, everything is there. It's all there. That's how I normally preach. That's how I would normally teach on a Sunday morning. Realizing that on a Sunday morning, it's going to be this balance of the immature believers and the more mature believers, the people that need milk and then some that want meat. And so it's trying to present this in there. And that's kind of what I'm doing with the vlog style. But I'm also noticing that it's little things that I don't think about in this setting, in like a home setting, little things that can cause friction with people too.
Like, I love to fart.
Oh, I love the fart mug. Here was an interesting thing, and I'm not going to mention any names on this, but there was somebody that you check my Sunday message, and I had my cup, and it says "I heart to fart." And honestly, it was a complete oversight because you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, was that comedy genius that you just put in there?"
I just asked him in the beginning of this, did you mean to have that cup? Because what he was talking about was, he said, our life is but a vapor, before the Lord, kind of a thing. And just a fleeting and the passing of moments type of deal. And he brings up his coffee cup in one segment, and he's pausing, and he says, our life is but a vapor. And it says, I heart to fart. And he takes a drink of it. And I thought, if he knew this, if he knew what he was saying, like, he is a comedic genius, because this hits on multiple levels. Like, the words coming through, it's got humor to it. It's like, it makes you defenseless, and it comes straight to your heart. Or was this a God thing that just like totally worked around the other end?
No
clue.
No clue. And honestly, in hindsight, looking on it, if I had done it with intentionality and really drawn the attention, I think it would have come across better, because then it would have been obvious. This is because I lifted the mug up and you could see the steam, and I was focused on the steam. And it was at that moment that I lifted up that I realized I'm not holding my I love you mug. I'm holding my I heart to fart mug. And it was like,
oh, it was glorious.
I'm going to own this one.
It was glorious.
And there was at least one person that I will thank them for at least reaching out to me and letting them know. Yes, they took, I don't know if it was necessarily taking offense to it, but they were put off by it. And I appreciate the fact that they would even reach out and let me know that. And I guarantee there's going to be other people that they saw it that didn't mention anything and they were put off by it. Sure. And that was the thing, that had I drawn attention to it, it would have been completely different. And when you had made mention, I was like, oh man, that is like the perfect illustration. Our life is just like a fart. It's like, gas that's here one minute and it's gone the next. And I could have made that and it would have been hilarious and accurate and so profound for so many people. But I didn't. And instead, it's like this moment of when we're doing online ministry, it's like we're, again, going back to what we've talked about with our tips. I've let people in my home and I just showed them one of my coffee mugs and it was like, whoops.
I think, but here's the thing though, like, and as it pertains to our sermons, I'm noticing it is those little nuances, just like in a live session where God hijacks the thing and he uses it to knead on people, or he uses it to like make you for me, I was absolutely defenseless. Yeah. I was laughing and being convicted at the same time. My life is just a vapor. All the things that I'm struggling with, all the stuff that I'm going through that I think is just so important to God and he has to deal with my issues right now, are but a fart.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was so well done. I think God is taking a hold of our vlogs, and I think he's continuing to be faithful to his word.
Yes. Genevieve is ratting me out, saying that that's what happens when you're recording at 4 a.m.
You couldn't tell. It looked like it was daylight. You must have had your softboxes.
I had my softboxes up.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things that it's like some of this stuff that we're doing when we're recording from home. And here was something I didn't realize. I had no clue. But at the same time, and you understand this, and anybody that does like video production, content creation, you understand when all of a sudden you're like 10, 15 minutes in on recording and then you realize a mistake. Nope, I'm not doing it over again. I'm just going to run with it. I'm just going to own it. Whatever happens, happens. It's what we said, lather, rinse, repeat.
Sometimes it'll take, like my sermons, I start shooting it on Monday, dependent on weather, on sunlight, on whatever, because I've been doing most of the stuff outside. Yeah. And if I get to the end of the week and realize that something that I shot in the beginning of the week is not going to match up, it's not going to look exactly right, it's like, just like you said.
Yep.
Oh well.
Yep.
Good enough for this week. We'll try again next week.
Yeah. Here's a couple comments that I want to pull in here. Diana is saying that online sermon stats will change church communication styles even when we're back in the church. Absolutely. I think that I think for those that are paying attention, it's almost like that. For those that have ears to hear, let them hear what the Spirit is saying. And sometimes we don't realize that the Holy Spirit is trying to teach us through things in this natural and physical world. Why? Because we can't hear the spiritual things, so he's speaking to us through the natural things. And
while being incredibly cautious, though, because I've talked to quite a few pastors around town who will look at their numbers and say, oh my goodness, we're reaching 5 times, 10 times, 100 times more people than we normally have reached. Well, on Facebook, if they're on for 3 seconds?
3 seconds.
It counts as a view. And anyway, I just think that's a very dangerous thing for pastors to look at.
And that's where I think pastors, they need to start asking and diving in a little bit deeper. They're looking at surface stuff, and it's like in ministry, we never do that. We never look on the surface. We always dive deep. So why is it with online ministry that we're only looking at the surface? And that's where you should be diving deep and looking at your analytics and saying, okay, so how many watch hours do I have? How much watch time do I have? How many minutes are people actually viewing this? And is it the same as what we're getting at church? Is it not? And even like Facebook will give you, 1 minute views. So they'll give you, I think, 3-second views and then 1 minute views. And it's like, those are the ones that you should really be looking at and trying to figure out. But I do think that, like she's saying, these stats will change church communication.
That's true.
I think churches are starting to realize, hey, if we put stuff online, we can reach a lot more people. And if we can reach them, we can have a bigger impact beyond our 4 square walls. We can start to think outside of the box of our local church, which I think is good. I think it'll also change some of their messaging and realizing we are reaching a broader audience. And so kind of like what we had talked about with the video, am I just reaching the one person that I'm bringing in and showing them behind all of the doors? Or do I have 80 people in my home? And am I trying to keep some stuff, behind closed doors because I don't want them rummaging through everything? And I think that's some of the stuff that we should even be thinking about. I can honestly see with our church, it's starting to come back to that where maybe some of our Sunday messages are a little less on maybe some of the doctrinal controversies that can be there. And then we'll have our midweeks to really dive in deep on that stuff for our people. And I'm seeing a lot of churches even doing that stuff where it's like they're doing these midweek studies that are group focused and they're kind of locked down on their church people versus the Sunday messages that are, out there broad for everybody. So definitely think Diana's saying that it's definitely opening the doors to them learning these platforms now too. And I would agree. There's a lot here. I missed one of her. She says, but then it opens the doors to sharing those concepts in micro content. I think that was what she was talking about with the messages that are a little bit longer. So we can start to open up the doors, sharing concepts in micro content Monday through Saturday, because we know they didn't catch it on Sunday. Yeah. And really, if I had more time, I would be chopping up my Sunday messages and doing that. I just don't have the time. Aaron Contreras, are you seeing longer viewer times in the vlog style compared to standing and teaching? Yes, absolutely, wholeheartedly. I did one live stream just a few months ago. We had bad storm. And so the state patrol around here, yes, Jarrod, you don't understand this, but there can be sometimes so much snow that our state patrol decides to advise that you not travel on the roads because it is dangerous. And I don't want to hear anything about you Minnesota people that you're like, oh, well, we drive to church, uphill through 4 feet of snow both ways. I know you do, but it's also freezing cold up there and your stuff doesn't melt as quickly and as often as ours does. Just a couple weeks ago, literally, we were sitting here at like 70, 80 degrees one day, and then the very next day it was snowing. Not joking. That's crazy stuff, us. But anyway, so they closed down, and I did a live stream for our church, and I checked our analytics on that compared to my vlog style sermons. Vlog style sermon retention and stuff more than double than what this was, and it was the same amount of views. So people were watching a lot longer.
I'm not entirely sure I'm ready to call it yet. I will defer to the master, but I'm not entirely sure that I know, because the first Sunday was the only Sunday that I did a live stream style, sitting here in the studio with my wife. We had a pretty good reception there. And then we had, the Sunday before Easter, I think, was our first vlog setup. And that was dramatically better. But we had a bunch of different factors that were going on there, as far as people hosting watch parties, working through the whole Premiere system of things. And there was a whole lot of sharing going on as far as Facebook. So I don't know that it would be the format necessarily as far as live versus vlog. I think the vlogs do better. But I don't have anything to compare it to. So I'm gonna have to defer to the boss.
And I would say that my analytics are showing, yes, it does better. At least in our setting. And it's the main thing for me is just wanting, I'm not even thinking with these messages, because I'm putting them online. I'm not just thinking this Sunday. I'm thinking the longevity of this. I'm thinking, is this something that people are going to watch or find value in watching 2 years from now? And I'm finding more and more people that are just now starting to see them from a few weeks back, that they're like, where is this at? How did I not know that, somebody was doing stuff like this?
Exactly.
And that's where I think it's key. There's one actually that I was going to post here in the chat for you guys. When it comes to vlog style sermons, okay, let me say, when it comes to a YouTube style sermon, this is the one from Aussie Dave Adamson. He's the social media pastor at North Point Church in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the benchmark. I can't say it's vlog style as I would see vlog style. Vlog for me, you're walking around, you're moving, you're talking to a camera, that type of a deal. His is in his home studio and he's talking, but it has that YouTube format of, let's give them the hook at the beginning, and then let's start to deliver the value, and then let's bring it out. And with the transitions, with the B-roll that he adds on, text popping up on the screens, flow, format, it was just perfect. I mean, it was brilliant. So I just shared that in the comments. You guys can check that one out. Absolutely amazing. Love that stuff.
Quick question before we wrap up the topic. From your perspective, have you noticed an increase in watch time, everything, all the metrics that matter, or have you noticed a decrease since we've been in the quarantine? I've been fascinated. I've been trying to ask as many people as I can to try and get a picture of what's going on. Because there was a little hill for us. There was a hill of interest of, this is new, what's going on, and now there's kind of a plateau. We kind of have the same returning.
I can't accurately say that because of organic, because we've had 2 of our messages that I have paid to boost them and reach more people.
Oh, okay.
So it's not been organic. That's the other thing about the vlog style sermon, because I'm getting straight in on the meat of this message. It's like, we're kicking off. There's no real countdown. And it's like, here's the message and we're just going with it. Because of that, I think it's more effective to boost a post like that to try to reach more people. Because if you figure you sent this message out there, people that don't even know who you are, and now all of a sudden you just popped up in their feed, and they look at it, and if the first thing that they see is a 5-minute countdown, it's like, hey, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
And so they're just abandoning it. That's where one of the big reasons why I did kind of shift to that. One, because, you know, I'm a vlog pastor, so I was going to pastor like a vlogger, vlog like a pastor. But it also became, I wanted to make sure that we could try to boost this to reach more people. And I don't know, I think boosting it cost us like $10 to reach like another 1,000 people by it. So that type of stuff, it's like I can't accurately say where it's been because I haven't dove that deep to see what the organic versus the paid boost was. I don't know, but that's an interesting concept. And this is where I think it's really important for us. Yes, we are to be led by the Spirit of God. Yes, we're to walk by faith, not by sight. But that doesn't mean we're to be oblivious to the things in the natural world. We're still called to be in this world, just not of this world. And so while we're in this world, recognize what's going out. Use the natural gifts and abilities that God has given you to kind of observe what's going on. You know, and for us to just sit there and say, well, I'm not going to pay attention to, you know, any of the metrics, any of the analytics. I'm not going to look at that stuff because, you know, the Holy Spirit hasn't descended like a dove and dropped on my head and say, do it. Well, that's ridiculous to me. That's like saying, oh, I've got a person that just walked in my church and they're limping, but I'm not going to go over and ask them how they're doing, or I'm not going to pray for them because they didn't actually tell me that something was wrong.
Sure.
And it's like, if you can see that something's wrong, do it. And it's also even more us searching and finding out is more like calling your people up and saying, hey, how are you doing? And that's where it's like looking at the analytics is me coming in and seeing we've got all these people trying to watch online. Hey, how are you doing? Are you getting something out of this message or not? And yes, I can do that by picking up the phone, and I can do it by sending, but I can also do it by seeing them. Just like if I was preaching in our church building and I see somebody dozing off and falling asleep, well, guess what? They're not listening to the message. You know, it doesn't happen that often, just every now and then. So
just for the record,
just every now and then. Anywho,
I love it.
Guys, we love you. This has been a great chat. We went way long today, and that's okay because it's our party and we'll do what we want to do. So there you have it. Love you guys. Enjoy this time with you. If you've got any topics you want us to discuss, make sure you reach out and let us know.
Tell us.
You know, as far as I go, I just want to encourage y'all to stay blessed and enjoy God's best. Jarrod?
Yeah. Well, I hope our little conversation today, our little chat, little fireside chat, I hope it helped you taste and see the extravagant love of God. He loves us so much.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. And until next week, see ya.